All right, and we are live. All right, gang, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm trying out a new camera angle here in the studio. You might hate it. Let me know if you like it, don't like it, but figure I mixed up a little bit. So let me know what you think. Happy New Year. We're in 2020, which is pretty awesome, keeping the podcast cranking, which fires me up. I want to dive into just a few little pieces here. One, hopefully you guys are enjoying the life story stuff. I know it's a little different than what we're used to, but just sharing that is it's awesome, and I appreciate it. And again, one of my goals for 2020 is to at least start the process of a book that I've written to get published. So worked with the writer on it a lot. So again, a lot of that's going to have a lot of the life story stuff, but some other lessons that I've drawn from that. Of which we kind of chat a lot about here on the podcast. So hopefully that brings some insight as well. That's one of my big goals for 2020, to get that going. It's been in the burner for a long time. It's just a much more difficult process than I thought of, getting someone to actually want to publish it. But I believe that there's a powerful message there, and hopefully people would want to actually listen to or read that book if it ever comes to fruition. But what I want to, someone sent me an email. I was like, I really appreciate the content you provide. And it meant a lot to me. And they asked, hey, I want to give a lot of your podcast episodes to my coaches for recommended reading or resources. And then they asked, I'd love a piece on at the whiteboard, of what coaches should be saying at the whiteboard. And it got me thinking of all right, well, I definitely think that's important. I'm going to talk about it on here, but what also can we talk about? And I think we also can dive into some programming stuff as well, and understanding programming and understanding what comes from the programmer and what actually comes from the coach delivering the program. And this will also talk a lot about the values that I have for programming on the hand plan for affiliates and for individuals. But it all kind of dovetails together, and that's why I think it's super important for affiliates, coaches, and owners and operators to really understand what they want to be doing. So let's dive into it. Let's answer the first question. What happens at the whiteboard brief? Well, the whiteboard brief is, for those, that go to a CrossFit gym, it's where everything is explained. And the way I put it this way is we actually just filmed some videos for the hand plan on this, is that by the end of the whiteboard brief, you need to have fully explained the roadmap for the class, where everyone is now trusting of what is going to happen. They know how they're going to be scaled. They know what the warm-up's going to look like. They know what the stimulus of the workout is, how long, how heavy, how many reps, so on and so forth. And they really know what's expected. It calms the nerve. It sets the stage. There's demonstration of movements. There's demonstration of scaling options. And then all the while, there's assessment of your athletes during this time. And, do I think that this is the only way to do it? No, but do I think it's really effective? And have I seen this to be the most effective? Yes. And I think sometimes more often than not, there are so many different ways to do certain things, but, fortunately, I've had the opportunity to be around some of the best coaches in the world, and I see common practices. So when someone tells me, they're like, well, I do it this way, it's yes, I will listen, I will watch, but usually it's well, if that's the first response to something, I'm concerned. Usually it means there's an ego involved in me, or some sort of lack of ability to receive feedback. So, and at that point, I have two options with you as a human. It's do I try to help you, or do I just say you're not worth my time? But that's neither here nor there. So, all of that information that happens at the whiteboard between 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the workout and the movement, so on and so forth, all of that information actually should come from the programmer. And this is something we truly believe in at the hand plan that we program for, myself, James Hobart, and Spencer Hendel, what information should we provide? What information shouldn't really be wavered upon? Well, we have the workout, okay? And say the workout, everyone knows it, Fran, 21:59, thrusters and pull-ups, right? Great. Well, all right, if there's your workout, we'll explain that workout. Well, then the first thing is, how long does it take? The nice thing is workouts like this are relatively easy. It's a good example, but the more unique the workout, or if it's just a workout that is made up, we need to know, how long does it take? Well, we know the intended stimulus of a workout like this is to be bound right around 5 minutes, which means we want to see everyone done under 10 minutes, and that's what we're looking for. then the next concept goes to, okay, in order to achieve that, this is how we're going to scale today. We're going to scale the thruster weight down, whereas we really want to be able to see that first set able to be unbroken. Even if you break it up because you get a little tired or the wheels may fall off the bus, but you should be able to move that for 5 to 10 reps with no mechanical breakdown with ease. Again, unbroken is a goal on that first set. Keyword goal. If that doesn't happen, again, we'll find out in the warm-up, but we'll, again, lower the weight if we need to get there. Pull-up. Well, we can lower the reps to the pull-ups, maybe to 15, 12, 9 or some variation of that, but we don't want to bring the reps down too low because it's important to keep the stimulus between pull-up and thruster. We don't want to be stopping, right, if it's going to take a super long time. So today what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to jumping pull-ups for the reason that we want to keep that heart rate high. So if we do not have the pull-ups, right, you don't have a strict pull-up or kipping aren't proficient, then we're going to go to the jumping today. And those are really going to be the scaling options for Fran. Now, if we have an injury or limitation, this is how we're going to scale it. Again, we're going to probably go to some version of one arm with a dumbbell. If we can't pull, let me know. We might be able to bring that to a ring row or a single arm type of thing. Pause. All of that information has to come from the programmer. How to scale, the rep ranges, the thresholds, because there's so much on the floor that you're going to have to assess. There's going to be one person that doesn't fit nicely into any of those scaling options. There might be an injury that you weren't ready for that might actually take a little more time to set something up with. So all of this needs to be taken care of, right? So if you're programming, then you need to be delivering stimulus, goal, intent. All of these things matter more than the workout itself, because if those things are not then delivered upon in the class, then the stimulus of the workout is never achieved for your people, and the workout really doesn't matter. So I always like to say today's workout doesn't really matter, and that's why when I say, well, people ask me, what do you sell on the hand plan? It's like, well, programming is the smallest variable that we actually deal with. We spend a lot of time on it, but we spend a lot more. We spend 2 pages of lesson plans, and of which we have at the whiteboard. And of what you're going to talk about to your athletes, because the next piece is your goals. We got to give them, all right, and guys, today is a fast workout. We got to all get to that point of like kind of blue-lipped and frothy mouthed and wide-eyed. So in order to achieve that, we're going to get you nice and warmed up, and then we're going to spend some time on that pull-up, making sure that we're honed in on there on that gymnastic kip, making sure that we know exactly what we're working on there. We'll get you scaled up right. Then we're going to spend some time warming up that thruster. Even though it's light, we want to really grease the groove, get your body feeling good. Because at the start of 3, 2, 1, go, we want to feel hot. We don't want you to feel good come mid-round. We want you to feel good from the start because it's such a short workout. And then talk about mindset. Talk about, do we want to break it up? Do we want to try to go for big sets? These are things that we can start to play with. All of these things that come down the pipe at the whiteboard set the stage. So now everyone knows how they're going to scale. Awesome. Really important on days like handstand push-ups, handstand walks, muscle-ups, where people are like, I physically cannot do this. The pull-up is a great one as well, because people walk in, they're like, I can't do a pull-up. How am I going to do 45 of them? Well, jumping pull-up. Awesome. I'm injured. We can do one-arm ring row. Awesome. Whatever it might be. But it needs to be pre-planned. That is key. Now, once we have that set, okay, from the programmer, then it comes into what's the general warm-up, okay? What is the specific warm-up? What are our last opportunities to make sure everyone's scaled right, sort of approve it or check off? Then we work out, then there should be a cool down accessory piece. All of that needs to come from the programmer. And this is really what it comes down to, guys, and we've talked about a lot of gyms over-programming, a lot of programs over-programming, programming too much. And it's important to remember this. A general warm-up in and of itself is going to be a robust amount of work, specifically on a day like Fran, right? Where ask yourself, and if you've never done Fran, just think to yourself, have you ever done something that's really short and really fast, powerful, intense, and did you ever feel I kind of hit my stride about halfway through? You want to avoid that. The general warm-up really starts to break the ice a little bit. But guys, this is also a time when you think about programming, is that this is a day, it's low volume on purpose. We should not be adding volume in just to add volume. It's on purpose because of where it is in the training cycle, in the week, the reps, the loading. All of this matters, and it comes into play. And as a coach, you should be aware of this if you're implementing that. And as a programmer, it definitely should be on the forefront. As an affiliate owner, don't give me that shit of like, well, my people need to lift more. When I hear that, I simply hear a lack of education. And it's not a bad thing. It's like, it's just a lack of education of understanding what your people want. And the only reason why I know this is the case is because of how successful the gym that I've been able to run in multiple gyms and people around the world that run very successful gyms that do this. Now, well, I run a successful gym and I do this. Well, I would beg to differ that you're leaving a lot on the table and there are deficiencies in your program, i.e. fitness, right? Because remember, we are a fitness program, and that's what comes into mind here. Like even in the scaling options, it's like when going back to the whiteboard brief, it's also okay to talk about why we're doing something. Because for your veterans, I think it's important. Like a jumping pull-up is not a sexy scaling option, and people don't think it's super sexy until you do it. You're like, well, it's devastating. But like, okay, today we're scaling for stimulus. What that means is we want to keep the heart rate high, and the pull, and we're going to get a pull, but really we want it to be a compound effect. Whereas there's nothing wrong with doing a banded pull-up, but that's going to be more for strength, for that true organic ability to actually pull. The heart rate's going to be a little lower. Getting in and out of the contraption will take a little longer. Same thing on the ring row, right? You could get your heart rate up a little bit, but it's a really difficult movement from the sense of actually being able to pull. So again, are we scaling for strength? Are we scaling for skill? And then there's always that stimulus piece in there. And depending on the workout, the eloquence and beauty of a pairing of complementary pull and push need to be, this is the thought process. And you can say that to them there. And this is a day, again, as a programmer, it's like post-workout. Once everyone's pulled it back down to homeostasis, you might have some more time. Now you can do some accessory work, and this is a really cool day for accessory work for you guys to spend time on the strict pull-up, the kipping pull-up skill, whatever it might be. Arguably, and because yes, you could absolutely put in build to a heavy thruster after Fran, right? Cool, and that's a way to add in some extra strength there. But I would argue that most of your people should get better at pull-ups and gymnastics before, that's a higher need on their weakness spectrum than lifting. And remember, they're going to get stronger from a 95, 65 pound, 75 pound, 45 pound thruster. They will get stronger from that. Like, there's going to be an adaptation there. Trust me. If you don't, come to my gym and look at all my athletes, and they've gotten stronger over the past 10 years. And so with that said, as coaches, as athletes, understand that it's an important way to set the stage at the whiteboard. And for you as an athlete, this is a time for you to ask questions. There are always good questions, and I think that no matter how long you do this stuff, sometimes your athletes have a perspective. So if you're an athlete, ask a question that might be confusing to you, or like clarity on that. What I often like to say is, guys, if you have an injury or limitation or a question, comment, concern, let me know during the general warm-up. Grab me one-on-one. As a coach, I really like to have that personal touch. I don't like to be like, hey guys, if you have an injury, let me know right now. Avoid that, because people will be afraid to tell about their injuries. What if it's personal? I mean, the things that people tell me are very personal, very private. I feel honored that people trust me, but I also need to take that with a high level of responsibility. And the first level of responsibility is not to demand it, to pull it out of them in front of everybody. You'll make mistakes. You'll push on the wrong person. Read body language. Read their facial expression. Read how they're communicating with others. I tell you, the most important attribute a coach can have is social awareness. It is not care. It is not knowledge. It is a social awareness. Because with social awareness, one, you're not going to be awkward. You're not going to be annoying. You're not going to be a dickhead. You're not going to be obnoxious. You're just going to be you. And you're going to be aware when someone's having a bad day. You're going to be aware of you're going to listen. You're going to be aware. You're going to take that in. And in turn, you'll deliver a better product. Because what if someone's like, listen, I just want to work out today, and I really just don't want to be coached too much. The purist in me be like, well, first off, you're not going to get that information in front of everybody. You need to have that in a one-on-one conversation. That's where you set the stage. Your general warm-up in the beginning should give you an opportunity to touch. We say touches. By the end of the general warm-up, you should have touched everybody. And that's a figurative term. It means you'd have a touch base, a check-in with somebody during that general warm-up time. And that allows you to make sure everyone's getting scaled even during the general warm-up appropriately, that you've talked about all injuries and all that other stuff, but you've also checked in with the sort of their psychological, emotional state. Now, once we have that nice check-in with their psychological and emotional state, you can make a determinant. I've had people like, listen, this is what I want to do today. And I'll be like, cool. Awesome. I've had people walk in the gym before the workout brief, and I see them, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, gosh, I just want to do my own thing. I really don't want to take class. I used to be like, well, you got to take class. Class is important. Follow the program. And then I was like, who freaking cares? They're having a bad day. They want to just bury it. Great. Push that sled down and back, hop on the bike for 20 cals, do it for 20 minutes. And they look at you like, yeah. And they say thank you, and afterwards like, thanks. Like, care about people, and that's important. And remember, you're not this like high and mighty. You're just a coach, and people trust you. And the more you do things like that, they will trust you. Whatever program you're doing doesn't matter. It pales into comparison to what those people need right in front of you. If they don't want to do it, who cares? Remember, ask yourself, are there ever days you don't want to lift, ever days you don't want to do whatever? And the answer is probably yeah. Remember that statistically is going to happen every single day at your gym. So it's just nice, but also you got to give them everything you got. Like people that work out in the gym, at like open gym, at our gym, we have that. Like if I see someone squatting funky, I'd be like, hey, send your butt back a little bit, push your knees out. I'm going to coach you, and I'm not going to be aggressive. I'm going to give you some love, even if you're not in my class, because that's what I do. I'm turned on. Like I'm a coach, and I love to coach, and that's something that we need to be aware of, and the programming should align with that. Our programming should set ourselves up for success to achieve that stimulus of the workout for that day. And the whiteboard brief sets the stage. It's sort of the it's like a program of a play. It's the table of contents. It's the outline for your class. And it's so imperative that we do that. And this is also your time to inject your personality. It's not your time to talk about yourself. And there's all sorts of stuff we can do here, but it's important that class should not be about you. It's about them. I say about music all the time. Like your playlist needs to be about them, not about you. But you can have some fun. Your class we program out general and specific warm-ups, for the hand plan and that stuff. But if you have a general warm-up that's different, that's great. Just achieve the goal of get your body warm and all that good stuff. Specific warm-ups should be generally the same, right? Because of how we're teaching the skill, whatever the focus might be for the day. Scaling options should be very consistent because that dramatically affects the stimulus. But if you're going to change it or tweak it based on what's happening in front of you, listen to your people. Your people matter most based off feel. Again, I sometimes coach my noon class, and I'll do something completely different because I have a class of 10 or 15 people, all of which have been CrossFitting for maybe a decade. I'm going to coach that class differently than most classes because I need to cater to who they are, what they can do, and what they want. If I'm going to keep those veteran members, man, I got to engage them. And that's my challenge. I don't think I do it successfully every day, but I try. So again, we're at 18 minutes. I just wanted to hop on the soapbox, give you a little bit of love on that. I have some fun soapboxes coming down the pipeline, playing a little bit. I'm going to get James Hobart on here, Spencer Hendel, some of the hand boys, and we'll just have some fun. But hopefully you guys are having a great new year. Again, I always say that, the whole New Year thing is just another day. Like, get up and attack it. And if you find inspiration in it, great. It's not that it's a bad thing, but just remember every day is another day, an opportunity to do whatever you guys need to do. And the New Year's, it shouldn't be an excuse to do anything that is not you. Be yourself. Don't do anything. Don't overreach. But an episode coming up, I found all of my old workout logs, all of my old competition stuff, some really cool history. I got to figure out how to vocalize it on a podcast. I'm going to probably do a larger vlog as well because I think there's some cool imagery that you want to see, but I'll also do a podcast on it because it got me fired up when I unearthed some of that stuff, and there's some gems in there and some really cool stuff. So I want to share that with you guys. But guys, we're well into the 20s of the podcast. We're in 2020. Appreciate it. Work hard, have fun. We'll check you guys on the other side in the soapbox. Thanks.